Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rails Board meeting at Burr Ridge office. I am Renee Leyva, President of the Rails Board. I hereby call this meeting to order on Friday, May 23rd, 2025 at 10 o'clock. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, right.
That's good afternoon, so might as well just fix that. Emily, please call roll.
Monica Caldecott.
Here.
Jean Carroll. Jennifer Cutshall.
Here.
Gwen Gregory.
Here.
Diane Hollister. Jen Hovanek.
Here.
Amanda Kowalski.
Here.
Renee Leyva.
Here.
Julie Milivek.
Here.
Emily Porter.
Here.
Carolyn Sennett.
Here.
Alex Vancina.
Here.
Karen Voidick.
Here.
Catherine Yanikowski.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Awesome, thank you. Next is a recognition of guests and announcements, and we will take care of public comments at the same time. Let's start here in Burr Ridge with guests.
Monica Harris, Rails.
Joe Philippek, Rails.
Sharon Swanson, Rails.
And Bus from Rails.
Kate Leacock, Rails. Stacy Palmisano, Rails.
Steve George, Rails.
Thank you. How about the guests in East Peoria?
Kendall Orison, Rails and RSA. I have no comments.
Okay, Emily, could you please read the names of the guests attending via Zoom?
Sure. Myself, Emily Bailey, Rails. Mandy Sue, the Illinois State Library. Mary Kate Murray, Rails, and Maggie Toman, Rails, as well as Ryan Hevel and Galen Elev.
Don't worry, Emily, I also sometimes forget my own name too. Emily, did we receive any public comments through email or via Zoom?
We did not.
And then are there any other public comments at this time before we proceed? There you go. If not, let us move on to the consent agenda, which consists of 5.1, adoption of the agenda, 5.2, the Rails Board minutes of April 25th, 2025 regular meeting, and 5.3, which is approval of the disbursements from April 2025. My dear Sharon Swanson, does anyone wish to move any of the items from the consent agenda to the regular agenda for further discussion? Silence is key. Thank you. If there are no other changes and we're all good, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as revised?
So moved, Jen Hovanek.
Second, Karen.
Emily, can you please call roll?
Sure. Jennifer Cutshall.
Yes.
Gwen Gregory.
Yes.
Jen Hovanek.
Yes.
Amanda Kowalski.
Yes.
Julie Milivek.
Yes.
Emily Porter.
Yes.
Carolyn Sennett.
Yes.
Alex Vancina.
Yes.
Karen Voidick.
Yes.
Catherine Yanikowski.
Yes.
Monica Caldecott.
Yes.
And Renee Leyva.
Yes. Next, we have Sharon Swanson with the financial report. Hello, Sharon.
Hello, Renee, and good morning to all. Right before a holiday weekend, I will try to keep this short, but I do have a couple of things to tell you about. So I'll start with the April 30th general fund unassigned cash and investment balance. We have approximately 27.4 million at the end of April. This would fund approximately 23.2 months of budgeted fiscal year 2025 operations. Our general fund revenues through April were a little over 16.69 million. And these were approximately 1.29 million above budget. This is primarily due to the earlier than expected receipt of the federal portion of our Aryan per capita grant. This was received in February and is normal. We also had above budget investment income. The Federal Reserve has held interest rates, their target interest rate between 4.25 and 4.5% since their December meeting, and with the remaining uncertainty around tariffs and the slingshot reactions in the stock market and the bond market after tariffs were instated and then rescinded, put on hold, the Federal Reserve is continuing to take a very conservative approach with rates to both try to control inflation and avoid a recession. Interest rates for our money market accounts are very close, running very close to the higher end of the interest rates set by the Federal Reserve right now. Rails was awarded a total of $213,625 of unbudgeted special grant funding to support the ongoing development and enhancement of L2 in the World Language Cataloging Grant Services Program. And through April, we've recorded $130,717 in revenues and offsetting expenditures for these grant-supported programs. These above budget revenues were partially offset by below budget revenues from the selection of EBSCO as the vendor for the statewide database program, as well as the elimination of an open RSA position, which lowered the amount that RSA reimburses us for our support service cost to them. And we did have less than an anticipated fuel surcharge for our ILDS delivery service to Carly due to lower than anticipated fuel prices, which is good news for all. Rails's general fund expenditures through April were a little over 13.05 million, and these were approximately 1.86 million below budget, primarily due to the EBSCO group purchase, which I mentioned above. Those are just a pass through, so the expenditures revenues for that activity. We also had below budget contractual services expenditures from favorable gas prices, which I mentioned before. This affects contractual services as well as our own fuel expenditures. Fuel prices must reach $2.80 per gallon prior to Rails being charged for fuel usage by our delivery outsourcing vendor. We do have a normal week's delay in receiving and paying our delivery outsourcing vendor as well, so that does play into this difference. We also did not receive any applications for the first round of our cataloging membership grants for libraries to join LSAPs. But during the second application period, Rails has received requests for nearly all of the $140,000 that was anticipated. So all projects are moving forward, which is great news. We also had below budget vehicle expenditures from these favorable gas prices, which I keep mentioning. And we also had less of a need for repairs and maintenance due to over half of our delivery vehicles being replaced over the past year and a half. I did want to insert the word of caution because with these newer vehicles, since they've been with us for 12 months or more at this point, we are seeing repairs coming earlier than we have on our older vehicles. So we have built this into our fiscal year 2026 budget with that expectation. We also had below budget travel expenditures. This is due to some conflicts staff had with attending conferences, some dates that weren't firmed up for conferences at the time that our budget was put together. So the spreading of our expenditures does not match how they actually happen during the year. We have normal delays in receiving reimbursements from staff for various things. And we also had the cancellation of the Joint Systems Board meeting that had been built into our budget. The ALA conference is in June, and that makes up the bulk of our out-of-state expenditures. So we do anticipate out-of-state expenditures to end much closer to budget. So we also have below budget professional services expenditures from timing differences between budgeted and actual expenditures for several planned projects that have been accomplished by, as well as projects that have been accomplished by in-house staff versus hiring consultants too. So we did have some savings in that area from what we had originally anticipated. Legal expenditures should increase. Right now they're under budget, but as the policy committee work continues and the collective bargaining renegotiating process for the portion of our covered staff continues through the beginning of this next year, we should end much closer to budget. We also have below budget personnel expenditures. We had lower than anticipated workers' compensation insurance premiums from larger than anticipated adjustments for a lower claims experience across the entire cooperative that we participate in. So being part of the cooperative really has benefited us greatly. We also had normal recruitment delays and filling new positions that have been budgeted, as well as several delivery positions that had vacancies throughout the year. We received through April no staff tuition reimbursements, which had been budgeted at, I believe, $15,000 for fiscal year 2025. We have, as you will see in the report, both buildings and grounds expenditures as well as delivery supplies are above budget. This is due to the moving back in-house of the sorting operation in Bolingbrook and the need to lease the additional space at Bolingbrook, as well as purchasing delivery supplies for that operation to happen at Bolingbrook. So during April, I was incorrect with what I reported this last month. Rails paid for the installation of the microwave, which is the final portion of the kitchenette and the conference room renovations at Cole Valley. The project came in $2,254 above the $50,000 that we had budgeted due to some unanticipated demolition that had to happen in the conference room area that was required much more manpower than we had anticipated or the contractor had anticipated. So we have been notified by the car dealership that we have been working with for our box truck orders that one of the 2 vehicles that were being fitted with lift gates will be delivered this next week. So hopefully we will have that very soon. And I did want to provide an update because as I mentioned this last month, Rails is at the end of our 5-year agreement with Lauterbach and Amen for our auditing services. As I mentioned last month, we had received 3 proposals. The 3 included our current auditors, Lauterbach and Amen, as well as Sikich. Both Sikich's and Lauterbach and Amen's proposals were nearly identical with very, very competitive bids. And we have many years experience with past experience with both firms, both with ourselves and some of the LSAPs that we do the accounting for as well. All experience is very, very positive with both. So since they were nearly identical, we decided to move forward with Sikich to get a completely fresh set of eyes on our practices and on our financial statements, as was highlighted by our prior treasurer, Karen Wojcik, at our last board meeting with the question that she asked. So I did want to say that we're so grateful to Lauterbach and Amen for their partnership with us in this process over the past 5 years. And we would certainly be very enthusiastic about working with them in the future based on our extremely positive experience. And previous to our 5 years that we've had with Lauterbach and Amen, we had used Sikich as our auditor for 8 years. So pretty much since our inception, and we were equally as pleased with them and the quality of their audit. So we're very happy to work with them once again and very happy to, when our time comes up again, consider Lauterbach and Amen again. So do I have any questions from anyone?
All right. If there are no questions or further questions or concerns, let's move on. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Let's move on to reports. I really don't have a report, just recently, this past Saturday, I just wanted to thank the Atlas organization for having myself and Jen Hovanek. We were doing the trustee orientation, essentially, almost training workshop for their trustee day. It went great. It went fabulous, I think. We had a good turnout. I don't know, Tim, I know you're a guest here.
I think it was one of the biggest turnouts we ever had. I think we had in excess of 85 attendees, something in that range. It was impressive and you guys were fantastic. So thank you.
We did it at the Orland Park Public Library. That was the first time I've ever visited the library, and it's a gorgeous library. I was able to have a really good talk with the library director there. Anyway, thanks for Atlas, and obviously Tim, you're a board member there, so thank you for having us there. Let's move on to the Rails Board Committee reports. Your packets include the committee reports. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding their contents? Oh, this is gonna be a fast board meeting today. I love it. Monica's gonna appreciate this. She's got some interviews to conduct. All right, let's move on to the Rails monthly report. Monica, you have the floor.
Well,
No
thank
pressure.
you, Renee. Good morning, everybody. We want to start with some really great news to share. So I know in bittersweet news, many of you know that our own Emily Bailey is retiring, and so she will be here until July 11th. So we've got about another month and a half with Emily, but we have filled Emily's position. And Stacy, can you stand? Many of you know Stacy Palmisano, our special project. Stacy will be stepping into the role of executive assistant following Emily's retirement. So we're very excited to have someone so familiar with Rails and with such great experience to join us in this position. You will see Stacy's position of special projects coordinator posted soon. But I wanted to thank everybody for their work during this process and just let everybody know we're very delighted to have Stacy. Thank you. Just in terms of some of the IMLS changes that have happened since last meeting, these things are all ongoing and there's been a lot of changes. I did provide some explanation of some of the things that have happened since our last meeting. I did want to highlight, of course, I know many of you probably had the opportunity to see the front page story that was on the Chicago Tribune on April 28th, featured many photographs of staff at our Bolingbrook delivery location, and also included really amazing stories and quotes from member libraries and patrons to talk about the importance of delivery as a service. I think in particular, that story did a really good job of pulling apart all the intricacies that go into interlibrary loan. Any of you who have tried to explain to someone who is not familiar with what interlibrary loan is knows you can get really stuck in those details. And I think it really provided a good picture of both what those services are and how they're funded in a way that was very illuminating for a lot of folks. So we were very interested to see that story. And I want to thank in particular the Bolingbrook staff for letting reporters and photographers follow them around on top of their already busy jobs. As many of you saw on May 13th, a federal judge did rule that the dismantling of IMLS needed to be halted. That judge ordered that the administration refrain from further action to eliminate IMLS and resume the process of releasing awarded funds. This is, of course, the result of a lawsuit that was filed on April 4th by 21 state attorney general, including that in Illinois. As many of you may have seen in the ILA alert that went out yesterday, some grants are now being reinstated in states that were part of the attorney general suit. And so we have learned that some grants in Illinois, and these are the grants that were not statutorily required, like the Grants to States program, have been reinstated, including the Illinois Fire Services Institute grant that we were a partner on. So we are looking forward to hearing more about that, but that's very encouraging news that we just received yesterday. So I just wanted to make sure you all were aware of that as well. I wanted to thank you all for allowing us to close for a day to have our rail staff in service. That happened on May 15th. We had a great day, and included in your packet was a photograph of our whole team together. It's really important to have an opportunity to get together in person and make those connections. And so we were so grateful, and also wanted to share that our venue at Joliet Junior College was really fantastic, and we really appreciated the support that they gave us as well. One really exciting thing that I have to share, and this was in your packet, but I want to highlight it here, is a new grant that Rails has received. So Ann Slaughter and I presented to the Cook County Finance Committee on May 14th, the day before our staff meeting. This was the result of kind of a long process that Ann in particular had been working with the digital equity team at Cook County after some connections they made at the Net Inclusion Conference last year to talk about kind of the importance of libraries as a digital equity partner. And so through some of those discussions, there was an idea that we could come together and that Rails could be instrumental in providing support for Cook County libraries with funding that would come directly from Cook County. So I'm very pleased to share that Cook County did issue a grant of $850,000 that is in support of digital equity for suburban Cook County libraries. Part of this grant is that we will design a program for the implementation of how this digital navigator program can be implemented. Our hope is that while this is a wonderful thing for Cook County suburban public libraries, there's many other libraries that could perhaps benefit from a structure like this, so that once we're able to actually develop this structure, we can even see if there might be opportunity to expand this in the future. So this is really, really thrilling, and is at the Net Inclusion Conference, which is why she's not here today, but she's going to be discussing broadband and digital equity issues with the board in June, and she will share more about this process and what's to come. But this is one that I really want to make sure we celebrate, because I think it's going to result in some really terrific things in our service area. In less good news, you may have seen that the Illinois Digital Equity Capacity Grant Program, this is the digital equity program that we partnered with our sister system at Illinois Heartland Library System and with Carly on developing a grant proposal for that project. Those grants, which are federal, were canceled by the federal government. So all states have received a termination letter related to those federal grant funds. But the Illinois Office of Broadband is currently monitoring the situation and assessing all available options. So we will keep you posted as we know more. But we just wanted to let you know the status of that project. I also just wanted to share that we are doing a webinar, Making DEI Fair, a conversation with Lily Zhang. We're really looking forward to that. That's coming up on June 5th. Lily Zhang is an author of DEI Deconstructed, along with some other books, and has some really interesting perspectives. And I will be facilitating that conversation between the two of us that you can attend if possible. Sorry, there's so much to share. We've got a lot going on this month. So just to highlight 3 more things, the top 3 that were in your packet. So the new Explore More Illinois logo has launched. I hope you got a chance to see it. This is again real, yes. And our communications and marketing team, along with Jessica Barnes, did a really good job of coordinating a lot of ideas and efforts. We also worked in partnership with our partners at Chicago Public Library and Illinois Heartland Library System to make sure that they had the opportunity to provide feedback for their rebranding program, since this is a statewide program that they all use. And so it was a really positive program. Libraries who are participating, of which there are more than 700, received new promotional material via Rails delivery. There was a poster, bookmarks, a window cling, but it's really great. And I hope that you get a chance to take a look at it if you haven't yet. Also just wanted to highlight that Rails participated in Reaching Forward North. There was over 560 people that visited the Rails booth, and I know many of you were there and participating and got a chance to check in with members. So thank you for doing that as well. And then next month, you're going to hear a bit more about this, but we were really excited to share that the Rails Catalyst pilot is beginning. Catalyst is the name of our new leadership program that you all provided great feedback on at our meeting. I think our last meeting in 2024. That program is moving forward, and we're really excited about the possibilities there. We've heard for years about how important it is to get a really strong leadership development going again in Illinois. So this is really intended just as kind of a pilot project that will affect Rails members, but who knows what the future will bring. And we're really excited to see this move forward. So Kate will share more next month, but we're really thrilled that the pilot session happened on May 2nd, and we're looking forward to the initiative launching this fall. That is what I have to share in the verbal portion of my report, but happy to answer any questions, comments, anything anyone wants to know.
Monica, can you just, I think by the tone of your voice, I know the answer, but just to confirm, the Cook County Digital Equity Grant is not funded through the canceled federal money.
This comes from the Cook County Equity Fund. So
Yes,
this is
okay.
local funds that are coming directly from Cook County, which is why only Cook County suburban libraries can participate.
Okay.
Same project. Is that program, do you think, going to be replicable throughout the state?
So our hope, so part of what this project is being funded to do is to hire someone who we can work with to create a design for this program and implementation process. So once we have something like that that's in place, it perhaps becomes easier if we can find other grant funds where this kind of a program could be expanded further across the rail service area, that we could make that happen. It's just a matter of finding the grant funds, but once we have a model, it becomes a bit easier to do. And I do want to thank all the Rails staff that will be instrumental in making this happen, including our finance team who has to do a lot of the implementation of the actual pass-through. But we think that despite any additional work that might come out of this, this is going to come with huge benefit for these libraries. And I think they're going to be able to do great things for their communities that we hope to be seeing expanded.
Right, sounds good.
I have a
lot
question
going on.
about that.
Yeah.
Also, is that gonna also extend services to the unserved in Cook County in any way, or?
Well,
part
there are
of it?
certainly a lot of unserved in Cook County. I think because we'll be working directly with these libraries, we have to think about what the implementation of those programs might look like and what the libraries involved might be able to do with those programs. But I think that there's potential for it to be able to expand to services that would be received by people who don't have direct library service. It just sort of depends on what the implementation of the project looks like, but a good question.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot.
May is already busy.
Thanks, Monica. If there are no further questions or comments, let's move on to Nancy George with an update on the World Cataloging Service. Hello, Nancy.
Thank you, Renee, and hello, everyone. My name is Nancy George. I am the Cataloging Services Manager at Rails. You might not always see it, but every well-organized library, there is a dedicated cataloging team, making sure everything is easy to find. So I am really excited to share some of the amazing work our cataloging team is doing and how we are helping libraries across Illinois stay organized, efficient, and ready to serve their communities. So one key way, so by the way, the content of my presentation is included in the handout you received, so you can get along. So one key way we are supporting libraries is through our cataloging training. A significant part of my work involves providing hands-on training for our members. We offer interactive cataloging and classification courses that help catalogers stay updated with their latest cataloging standards and best practices. We offer synchronous and asynchronous courses to accommodate different learning styles. All of our courses are always in high demand, especially modal courses, because they are asynchronous and it has a lot of flexibility in the schedule. So it's always on high demand. It tends to sell out so fast. And even our webinars, always more than 100 plus participants. It's always on high demand. So we are here to support the library professionals of Illinois, no matter their experience levels in cataloging or learning preferences. So I included our upcoming webinars in the handout. If any of your library staff is looking to improve, polish their cataloging skills, feel free to share that information with them. And one more thing, if you have, or if any of your staff members have any suggestions for cataloging topics you would like us to see us offer, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. In addition to providing valuable training, Rails support Illinois libraries through specialized cataloging services. So we recently launched a cataloging mentorship program. It is called Illinois Cataloging Mentorship Program, or ICAM. This program is designed for cataloging folks at all levels, whether they are just starting out or been doing that for a long time. So it's a year-long mentorship program where you can level up your cataloging skills, grow in your career, and connect with other cataloging folks in the field. People can join every summer, and the new cohort will start in the fall. Our very first group has 75 mentees, and they've been mentored by 24 experienced cataloging pros. So it was a challenge for us to find so many mentors. So even though catalogers have so many experience, it's very hard they don't see them as mentors. So it was very hard. Hopefully next cohort, we will find more mentors. So it is a great way to learn, grow, and meet other cataloging folks. So you can learn more about our program on our website, and you can contact me directly. And we have a committee we created all the way from Illinois, from different types of libraries. We have ICAP committee. So we are here to help for you. So if you have any questions, contact us directly in the contact form on our website. That is the best way, or you can contact me or HLS folks or any ICAM members, committee members. We are happy to help you. Another service I wanted to highlight is our word language cataloging services program. It is a fantastic statewide resource for libraries across Illinois. It is available to all types of libraries, and it offers both original and copy cataloging for materials in word languages, including English, that are part of library's regular collection. It is a key things to note. This service is funded through the grant from Illinois State Library, but it is not a part of ACP grant. So there is no cost to libraries to using this service. And this service support cataloging for most print materials and physical audio materials in any languages included in library's regular collection. However, it does not cover electronic resources or digital collection or special collections. For those materials, libraries can contact CMC. They would be able to help with that. To participate, the libraries need to submit an electronic request form on our website. So libraries can submit materials in various ways, whether it's physical materials or photocopies or PDF files or pictures of materials. They can upload to our site and we will get that request. So it is a great service for libraries looking to expand and maintain their word language collection. And best of all, it's absolutely free. I also wanted to mention something new. We recently added a new team member to help with the program to meet the growing demand and maintain the service quality. This position is funded through the grant, and it is a temporary role based on the grant period. So this person currently is Sarah Mercurio, and she is a new graduate. She is fluent in Spanish, German, French, and Italian is her intermediate capacity. Yeah, so she is great. She's doing an amazing work, and it's a great help for me. Yeah, so now I wanted to mention how this program benefits to libraries. The number one, this program enhances resource sharing by ensuring materials are cataloged and discoverable. Libraries can better serve, better share their resources. And this program support EDI because when we serve non-English speakers and their multilingual community more effectively when we are offering their materials. And this program also increase access to word language materials. When we catalog support for materials in all languages, encourages libraries to include non-English materials. Another key benefit of this program is it removes barriers to acquire diverse materials because libraries often hesitate to purchase word language materials due to uncertainty about the availability of OCLC records. So without the catalog records, these materials are not accessible to patrons. So this program eliminates that barrier by providing cataloging support regardless of language or record availability in OCLC. And we wanted to highlight some of the program growth and statistics. We've seen impressive growth in the word language cataloging services program, reflecting increasing the demand and the importance of the service across Illinois libraries. We launched this program in 2022, fiscal year 2022, we catalog only 69 titles. But this fiscal year, we catalog over 1,000 items. And exact to be in the last couple of days, I received 75 items in the last few days. So it's like more than what we estimated actually. In terms of participation, fiscal year 2022, we had 16 libraries involved, but this fiscal year, the number has expanded to 40 libraries. When it comes to languages, in 2022, we started with 13 languages, but now we cataloging materials in 27 languages. And this growth really highlights the value and the demand of the program, and we are excited to continue supporting more libraries and communicate across the state. And I also provided we also received a lot of feedback. I added a couple of testimonials in that handout. One, they really highlight the value of our program. One is from a school library and from a public library. So these testimonials really show the impact and efficiency of our program brings to libraries across the state. I also included some interesting items we cataloged recently. NIU has been using our service regularly, and
As Gwen giggle.
yeah, I added just a few examples from their collection and see, one of them is Khmer, and it is a historical document about Cambodia history. So before our work, the item was not easily accessible, but now with it can visible and it is available as much as wider audience, including researchers and readers around the world. So our service is essential at any library that supports multilingual or multicultural collection. We help ensure that materials aren't just on the shelf, but actually findable and usable by communities they're meant to serve, by both locally and globally. And with the help of our communication team, we are actively promote the program libraries across Illinois. We send out e-newsletters, social media, and discussion email lists to keep libraries up to date about our program. And thanks to the communication team, they are doing an amazing work. And with that, I received the last 3 days, I received new libraries are using our service. Yeah, so thank you so much. And our goal is to meet cataloging needs of libraries across Illinois, so to better serve their community. So if you have any questions, anything related to the service or the training, please reach out to me or Anne or Sarah. We are happy to meet your cataloging needs. Any questions? If you have any questions.
I'll just say that I certainly hope that you get more people applying to the iCamp program. I have a colleague of mine who is one of the mentors, and I think she's the only school library cataloging worker in your program, and she really would love to have somebody to help. I think it happens sometimes that people who work in a school library don't have a professional background in library science. And so they might need this program and this mentorship even more than someone who has the benefit of a, cataloging course, through a master's program. So thank you for offering that program. And I really do hope that more school libraries, people working in school libraries take advantage of the great help that a mentor can give them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Monica, how do we get the word out?
I know, right, right. I'm saying it as loud as I can. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is a
Lack of knowing that it's.
it is there, right? I know. And certainly I think, as always with school libraries, people who work in school libraries, it's, I can't even go to the bathroom. How am I gonna do this thing? But I also think that, as we know, sometimes it's worth the investment in the time to learn it, and then it saves you on the back end. So maybe it might have to be like put as like a return on investment kind of thing. Like, I know it's challenging to think that you'll have X number of hours in order to, but this is really just I have a friend I can call on. So it's like phone a friend, maybe. It would be great.
Yeah.
I know.
And cataloging is very interactive. So if you have any question, you can ask that person. So it's a great opportunity for them to learn. Yes.
For that program, do the people who are interested in being mentees already have to be in a cataloging position? Or is it something where, like, hey, maybe I'd like to be a cataloger? Like, what is the intention with that kind of stuff?
So for this program, it is for all levels. So we don't have any specific requirement for mentees, but for mentors, we have a requirement of 5 years of cataloging experience.
It might be a way to kind of promote it differently as well, too, if you are interested in cataloging.
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It could be good. One of my staff members is a mentee and I know that he's just really appreciated it. And he's working with somebody who, we're public library, obviously, but his mentor is from, I think, Rockford College. So it's an academic librarian. So it really is something that can kind of cross some of those barriers in different ways.
Well, I'd just like to say that I think all of the various services that the cataloging services is doing are great. And you can see from the popularity of the training and webinars, how appreciated they are by all the people that get to participate in them. That they're always, when the new list comes out, people want to sign up right away so they can get into it because they fill up right away. And as well as the World Cataloging Service and the ICANN, all great services that Rails has developed that are much appreciated.
Thank you.
And thank you for your leadership in so many areas and participating in the South Asia funnel. That sounds so
Yeah.
interesting. And just thank you because, you know, the DEI and inclusion aspect of all of the work with what you're doing with South Asia funnel and with the world languages, it makes such a difference to allow libraries like ours to have more language collections and offer that to our multicultural community.
Yep. Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right, amazing feedback. Thank you everyone for sharing that. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mandy with the report from the Illinois State Library. Hello, Mandy.
Hello and good morning, everybody. I was going to start my remarks today by talking about the status of the IMLS situation, but Monica covered that for me beautifully, so thank you. I can just skip right over that. The next and most important thing is the school library grants have not been canceled. I know that there's been some concern about that kind of floating around, but those funds are safe. If you've got anybody who has any questions about that, you know, feel free to refer them to us. But you can also just assure them that the funds are safe and they don't have to worry about that. So this week has been a busy week with the General Assembly, and hopefully there will be a budget resolution by the end of the month. Senate Bill 1550, which allows us to issue grants for security in libraries, has passed. And we are waiting the final outcomes of any other legislation that might impact libraries. Once we have definitive word for FY26, we will be informing the libraries and the systems about anything that pertains to them. And happy news, this past week on Wednesday, March 21st, the annual Letters About Literature and Spotlight on Literacy Award ceremonies were held at the State Library. In the Letters About Literature contest, which is held annually, students in grades 4 through 12 read a book and write a letter to the author, letting them know how reading the book changed their life and worldview. All three winners were from Rails school libraries. The level 1 winner was Arushi Sa from Lincoln Middle School in Mount Prospect. The level 2 winner was Brianna Arata from North Boone Middle School in Poplar Grove. And the level 3 winner was Brooklyn Rain from Marist High School in Evergreen Park. The Secretary of State, Alexis Julius, was here to deliver remarks, and it was just overall a really wonderful ceremony. We have it here every year, and it's just a wonderful day to be able to celebrate these kids who have just done some wonderful writing and write about some really brave things. Bonnie Mathias, who's the state library consultant who spearheads this project every year, is always looking for additional judges. Judging takes place in March. So if anybody is interested in being a judge next year, I will provide Bonnie's contact information to Emily. And the Spotlight on Literacy Awards recognizes the exceptional efforts of the English language learners and their tutors throughout the state who are participating in one of our literacy programs funded through the state library. Alexis Julius is also here to deliver remarks, and congratulations for those participants. And I think that is all I have for you guys today. As always, thanks for allowing me to speak, and I hope everyone has a great holiday weekend.
Thank you, Mandy. And I just want to say I'm very proud that I actually submitted the form on time in regards to my trustees leaving And then the election. is coming.
I saw that. Thank you.
I was on the naughty list last time, so I just
It's
made sure that
okay.
that was submitted in the morning. So thank you. But no, thank you for everything you do.
Yep, no problem.
All right, we will move on to new business, approval of the system area and per capita grant operational plan. Monica?
Thank you. So you all received a memo. We did this a little differently. So some of you who may have been on the board for a while note that normally we include operational plan and the budget planning together in a memo. Because of the changes in timing this year, we wanted to separate them out because the operational plan does require 2 approvals. And so we wanted to do it so that we were providing you with some information about our operational plan, and we'll talk about budget a little bit later on our meeting. So to focus first on the operational plan, in your packet, you did receive the full operational plan as currently proposed. There's a lot of information in there. So what's in the memo and what's highlighted are just some new services that are new to the plan since previous years. We wanted to make sure that you had a chance to highlight some of those. Our operational plan is organized by our strategic plan goals, so you can really see how these pieces work with the plans that we already have in place and that guide Rails in terms of our vision. You'll see all of those activities that are listed here, and you can really see from looking at this document just how busy we are here at Rails. I do want to thank especially our leadership team and Dan Bostrom for putting this together. There's a lot of work that goes into this process as we're looking forward towards the next year. But I did want to ask if anyone had any questions, comments, anything that you saw in the operational plan that you thought needed further clarification.
Yeah, seems like May is already busy.
Yeah, it's a busy time, and we are busy here at Rails, and we're generally pretty busy here at Rails. But there's a lot of wonderful things that go into being able to provide these kinds of services for our member libraries, and we think member libraries are really in need of these services, and they're also really engaged members that are really sharing with us the things that they want to see, which makes our job easy to identify the kinds of things that we can focus on.
I really appreciate the focus on the data-driven analysis and evaluation and the use of that for advocacy. I think that the amazing work that Jeanette Jarecki has done in this field just shows how impactful it is. I saw a little quip like, if people don't know what people don't know could hurt you. And I think that is just really something to remember, that we're awesome, humble professionals who need to turn up the volume and share with everybody the impact that our libraries have on everything. So I appreciate that focus.
I think that intersection between what the data team does and what our marketing team does, and making sure that they're able to present really important takeaways in a way that people can actually absorb it and use and kind of turn into their own talking points. That's what that Rails Numbers That Count campaign does, is makes it kind of in a small way you can know about this huge impact that you can share with your trustees or you can share with your community to make sure that they know, the types of things that are happening at Rails and also just in libraries across Illinois.
That was a great line. What you don't know can hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Visit your local library.
Great. Yeah, I like that.
All right. Thank you, Monica. May I have a motion and a second to approve the Rails fiscal year 2026 operational plan as part of the system annual per capita grant application?
So moved, Julie. Monica, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. The motion carries. Thank you. Next, the agenda item 8.2 is an update on the budget planning.
Thank you, Renee. So what you saw in your packet for this month is an updated memo. This is very similar to the memo that you received in April that just kind of shares where things are at in terms of our budget planning process. You will see a very detailed budget report next month in June when we will ask you to consider approving that budget. So I will just briefly share with you today some of the updates since last month so that you have a sense of what those are. So we noted here on April 25th, the Illinois State Library provided instructions for this year's grant application that is based on receiving level funding of $871,714 from the system area and per capita grant. Grant revenues in budget planning now include that $850,000 grant from Cook County Digital Equity Fund to lead the design and implementation of a digital navigator network for suburban Cook County libraries. We also have an update related to the last Federal Reserve meeting that happened on May 7th. Interest rates were once again remained level. We are now budgeting, anticipating average interest income of 2.9%, which was the lowest of the range of projections that were published following their March meeting. We did have a bit of discussion in April about the tariffs, and as tariffs are currently paused, we are budgeting costs based on what we currently know. We don't feel we have enough information that we can anticipate the way that costs are going to change. So we just say we are budgeting with what we know right now, but if there are variances and changes, we will certainly report them throughout the year. In our personnel section, the consumer price index for the Chicago, Naperville, Elgin area was released on May 13th. Area prices were up 3.7% from a year ago for all items except for food and energy. So that's very similar to what we reported to you back in April. So we are anticipating to present personnel projections for wages and benefits expenditures at a 4% COLA. We also received our preliminary employer rate from IMRF in May, and we did have an opportunity to attend one of the employer rate sessions that was offered by IMRF. Our preliminary rate equaled our current calendar year rate of 0.79. So we have updated the placeholder that's currently in the budget based on that. Of course, Sharon Swanson, our finance director, was very instrumental in putting these things together. Sharon, is there anything you would add that the board should be aware of for now?
You definitely hit the highlights, Monica. I will say, just had our spring meeting for our health insurance cooperative, of which I'm on the board of, and we did get a little bit of good news, bad news as far as our preliminary rates. So the PPO increase did go down 1%, but the HMO increase did go up several percentage points. So overall, we're expecting 11%, and our dental and vision are up for bid during calendar year 2026. So we are expecting some shifts in those areas as well, of 9% for dental, 2% for vision potentially. So it was a mixed bag that we got. And granted, we've only been with our Blue Cross Blue Shield carrier for a couple of months. So this is just based on a very short history. So who knows when we have those final rates in November, where we may end up, but I will definitely be reporting to the board if there are differences between budget and actual for that. We are planning, as Monica mentioned, that organization-wide laptop replacement. We're very excited, hopefully July, all of us. But we are not budgeting any increases for tariffs because those were specifically excluded from the tariffs that were temporarily implemented. So you will see that in there as well. And for my part, I did want to mention that I'm planning to implement an EFT module so that we can transfer over more of our vendors to EFT payments to become more secure and protect us more against check fraud. And because of all the replacement vehicles too, I did want to highlight, and Mark left us, I see, that we have that increased fuel efficiency because we replaced so many of our vehicles. So we're budgeting for 5,000 fewer gallons of fuel to be used during fiscal year 2026. So that's good news.
Are there questions, comments, anything that you saw here, or other questions about the budgeting process?
I just want to say I'm excited about the EFT module. I think that, getting away from checks is a really good idea as much as possible.
Great.
Thank you so much.
We are as well. My entire department is very excited about this.
There. And Julie and I both serve on our Lyra cooperative, and we've been talking about best practice related to a lot of this there.
Exactly. We want to lower those exposures so that our Lyra renewals continue to be favorable.
Also impressed with like the curveballs. Not only did we get an extra grant, now you're wondering about the tariffs and the computers and just making sure, and then obviously also the interest rates. Mark, you missed the biggest thing.
Walked out of the wrong.
Whole thing.
Over again.
Yeah, let's start all over. Oh, Sharon mentioned was it the 5,000?
Saving 5,000 gallons, yeah.
That's great. All right, does anyone have any further questions or concerns? Thank you, Monica and Sharon. Let's move on to Executive Director Evaluation Update. This is for discussion. Thank you all for completing the evaluation. You should have all received the results, and we will discuss the Executive Director's evaluation in closed session at the June meeting. The board will also determine the change in compensation for the Executive Director to coincide with the changes in compensation for all other rail staff at the start of the new fiscal year. Glenn Gregory and I will meet with the Executive Director and discuss the findings and recommendations of the compiled evaluation. Are we good? Nope. Okay, good. That was just really a statement, if anything, but does anyone have any questions or concerns? Fabulous, amazing, thank you. Next, we have board development. We have Mr. Tim Prendergast from the Hodgkins Public Library, who's also a, let's see, I'm gonna show you off right now. A board member of the Atlas organization, and is also a proud advocate of the advocacy committee, member of the ILA organization. So welcome, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I should add, Tim.
Generally awesome. Cool. Time. No, thank you for the invitation. Dan Bostrom reached out, I think at the beginning of the year, looking to have some type of relatively brief presentation about kind of the dual advocacy roles that the trustees with Rails have once they're out in their general work areas or trusteeships at other library avenues. So this presentation is going to be kind of boiled down a little bit from a much larger presentation that I gave it Reaching Forward North and South. So on the second, I believe the entire slide deck is in your packet, but if not, I think we're going to be advancing it through. The second slide, which has the just kind of the general rundown of Ready, Set, Advocate information. There's also a QR code that'll push you over to that platform through ILA. Basically, there's 3 individual slide decks plus audio video discussion about those slide decks as well. It's fairly intensive, but advocacy, as you guys already know, is really about identifying the thing that you're passionate about and then working to engage your community, develop a support network, identify with your leadership that you're either involved in or stepping up to leadership, and then just generally getting the message out. Clearly, these are all things that everybody in this room is doing. But really, I think it's about trying to divide, you know, what happens here at Rails is a little different than what's happening on the ground at your home libraries. And I think that's kind of what we're going to look to bridge today. So there's 3 modules. We're going to really just run through module 1, which is called Ready. We're going to focus on module 2, which is called Set. We are not going to do module 3, which is the actual going out and advocating. So the next slide, I don't know, go 2 slides, maybe 1. Go back 1. There we go. Advocacy is a continuum. So advocacy is one of those things that you're never in one place. You could be moving forward or moving backwards and being equally as impactful. It's about recognition of the situation that you're in, who you're talking to, and really, you know, how much of that message you really want to get out. So it's obviously laying down the groundwork. It's turning support into action, advocating for specific goals, and responding to opportunities and threats. I think most people in this room are generally in the support to action or advocating for specific goals. Some people are a little beyond responding to the opportunities and threats. Some might just be doing groundwork and all 4 steps are equally important. It's just about where you are at any given time. Laying down that groundwork really is about developing your community engagement, relationship building, and sharing those personal stories. So you're really just trying to work out what is the thing that we're going to be talking about. Turning that support into action is developing that next step where you're getting your networks with decision makers, your library users, and you're seeking out different venues that might have the advocacy tool that you're actually really trying to reach out to. Moving into advocating for specific goals, you're talking about that specific story. And that's one of the things that I really, in my larger presentation, spent a lot of time driving home, which is you can really only do one thing at a time. I know we want to multitask. I know we want to hit all these different avenues, but in advocacy, it's about trying to boil down your concept to something that's digestible. And if you're all over the place, it's really hard to do. I spent a lot of time talking about when I was a school librarian, that my role was to get kids to come in and utilize the facility and check out the materials. That's a lot. And then it turned into starting to network the teachers to bring in the kids. And then it was just trying to develop general academic success. And eventually it boiled down to just get in here. Butts and seats. That was actually what my advocacy model was as a school librarian, was butts and seats. If you're here, I can work with you. If you're not here, I have to come find you. It's harder to do. If I can get you in, we can get things going. The next one is responding to opportunities and threats. And this is one, I think, between the advocating for specific goals and responding to opportunities and threats is really, I think, where this room lies. So we're maintaining awareness of the potential threats to library operations, continually reading industry sources to learn about legislation impacting libraries, paying attention to the news coming from other libraries or other institutions, and how all those pieces fit together. That's really where I think a lot of this room lies. So if that's the setup, really the takedown is, how do you start to boil out this information and get it out to everybody? This is the most challenging part of advocacy work, because you have to identify the thing that you want to improve, you have to craft your message, and you have to identify your stakeholders. It's a tremendous amount of trial and error, and it's a lot of modifying and trimming. So you're forever working on, how can I simplify and get this message out, and identifying the people that you want to get it out to. There's effectively two formats for advocacy. There's formal and there's informal. Formal is nothing is accidental. It is all intentional. You're working on multi-platforms. Maybe it's through social media, maybe it's through YouTube, maybe it's through website development, but it is also, really focusing on one method at a time that you're really trying to develop and get that out. Informal is a lot more word of mouth, your storytelling. It's generally trying to decide what your audience is, because it's about situational awareness. And both formal and informal are relatively data driven, in that you're trying to, identify, is this working? And what are your measurables to determine if this is working? So you're trying to decide, where are we going to advocate? Are we going to advocate locally? Are we going to advocate regionally? Are we going to advocate nationally? Are we going to find stakeholders that are at the ground level? Or are we going to find stakeholders who are, political trustees? What is the plan? Because you can't give the same message to the same group. So you have to identify that singular group and start to go from there. You're turning that support into action. You have found like-minded individuals that are essentially wanting to do the same things that you're doing, and building that network and getting that info out, whether formally or informally. You're moving further in by crafting that cohesive, simple message to get that word out, and you're making those political or higher executive level officials aware of what's going on. And lastly, you're really responding to opportunities and threats by assessing, is this working? Is this not working? Are we seeing improvement? Are we seeing retraction, improvement? And acknowledging if it's working, and if it's not working, how do we pivot and change? There's, in terms of formal advocacy, two examples I always like to use. The first one is the ALA's At Your Library platform, which was incredibly successful. It was copied over multiple industries. And even though they have since moved away from it, it is still a really great platform that is used. The other one was ILA's More Than a Building, which I didn't inherently realize until I started to look more into it. It's a platform that's been used in the nonprofit sector for more than 50 years. And it's, trying to highlight that the institution is more than the four walls of itself. very popular in schools, churches, YMCA's, other, big nonprofits that are trying to bring people in, that there's more to us than the four walls that we have. I also like to talk about other formal advocacy that is a little more expanded beyond libraries. The first one is Your Vote Counts. Why I like it is it's predictable. We kind of know when the election cycles are, how that's going to get pushed out, that we want people, regardless of ideologies, to come out and to vote, and that it's cyclical. We know when it stops roughly, we know when it ends roughly, but it's a great advocacy tool. The other one I like is the Ending Cash Bail, because it's almost like a freight train that once that organization gets what they want, which is changing the perspective on how bail works, they kind of move on because the legislation's in place and they don't really need to keep that momentum in place. They need to go to the next location. So obviously that was something that was successful here in Illinois. They have moved past us into other regions to push that initiative. Your formal advocacy typically is your newsletters, your websites, your social media, because there is nothing spontaneous in social media. It is all manufactured, planned, edited, and put out in best form. You're cross-pollinating, you're using your multiple platforms in order to get that message out. Maybe you're using your newsletter to highlight your website. You're using your social media to highlight your newsletter, whatever it might be. That's cross-pollination. And then other mailings or ways that you're getting that produced publication out to your public. For informal advocacy, things are a little different because it's really more tailored back to that storytelling. So I've got a couple ideas, on things that are very library specific. You have your library cards. Maybe you've looked into going fine free, or you are fine free. The big one that we're always trying to push, database usage. Then there's always the things that are adjacent that touch on other entities, public health, welcoming the unhoused. Maybe it's food shortages or food deserts, utilizing pantries, or a big one that we were talking about just here today, the equitable internet initiatives. We saw a lot of that taking place during the pandemic. And I think as things obviously have subsided, the pendulum has still swung towards that inequity on needing more internet access throughout our communities. So, with so many things that we could advocate for, really, I like to talk a lot about how sometimes the fight comes to you and sometimes you go to the fight. I would argue that everybody in this room has decided to go to the fight because you ran to be on the board, to be a part of this team that's working to solve problems, some big, some small, but you have elected to go to the fight. But sometimes the fight comes to you. You're in a community that has shifted or changed and you want to get involved, right? So that's the fight coming to you. And the other one I like to talk about is the hill to die on. You're only allowed to die on one hill at a time. Despite the fact that the needle moves all the time in this room, the reality is that you can only exert all your energy on one fight. Now, you can have a big crew and everybody's fighting on different hills, but you personally can only fight on one hill at a time. Because one, it keeps you focused and not being stretched too thin. But secondly, if you're spread out too thin, your messaging doesn't land. So that's really the key parts within the advocacy platform that ILA has been pushing. They have asked me to go out to speak in multiple locations. I'm waiting to hear if I'm on the presentation groups for the ILA conference. I'll be reaching out for ALA next year because I know it's going to be here in Chicago. But the last slide that I have is just the variety of resources that I've used, but are also really good for you as you work on your advocacy platforms. And I'd really like to thank all of you for allowing me to come in and speak today. So appreciate it. Any questions?
Through Renee, I was connected with one of your ILA advocacy members who wanted, all of us were sort of pass-throughs to connect to good advocacy groups about advocating for school libraries. Where is that maybe content that's still being put up on the ILA website, or is it up there already and I'm not seeing it?
No. So what's happened is they want when I say they, I mean the advocacy committee, has wanted to see a more dedicated advocacy platform-based website. They're working on that right now. It's my understanding that all of the segments that they wanted to work on are essentially done, organized, ready to go. It's now been handed off to ILA's website development team to put it together. Last I heard is they're hoping for the fall. Maybe we get lucky and it could be done sooner. I think the goal obviously is to have it in time for ILA's big conference down at Rosemont. But I think if they can get it done sooner, that'd be great. But yeah, it is moving forward. So hopefully it's all done.
I look forward to seeing it.
I have a question. Tim, thank you so much for this presentation today. I think it's really helpful. I am wondering, because we talked to so many trustees who are strong advocates, they know the facts, they want to be able to get out there and share information, but maybe they're struggling with finding a style that feels like effective to them or feels natural. Do you say anything to people who are struggling to find a style and how they can figure that out?
You know, I found it interesting. At Reaching Forward North, I was surprised at how many library trustees were there. There was a pretty large number. I was really surprised. And a couple of them approached me at the end of the presentation, kind of asking the same question. And I think, you know, the reality is that it has to be what works for you. You know, obviously I'm a little more outgoing. I'm not a terribly in the background passive person. So I will tell it to anybody. And if it doesn't work with you, I'll move to the next person, the next person, the next person until it hits. If you're more nervous to do that, then maybe doing something more formally, like a website, like using your social media platforms, like maybe, you know, trying to partner with how do we get things maybe attached into the community newsletters is a good way to go. I think it's trial and error, figuring out what works for you.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you for having me.
Let's see. Next, we have board member reports. This is the opportunity for the board members to share what is happening in their libraries. Please share.
I have something. I don't understand exactly what it is, but I will read it. It was an honor that the Shorewood Troy Public Library won, but it was a surprise, a really big surprise. And we didn't even understand what it was for until they went to the award ceremony and got it. It's Illinois chapter of the National School Public Relations Association, INSPRA, awarded the Shorewood Troy Library an award for advocacy to school staff and people who work directly in a school setting. So they won it for the library's deep commitment to the students in the district. Hey,
awesome.
I thought was. It was a shock up here, you know, so it was a very nice surprise.
If this has ever happened to you where you decide that you're gonna clean out your closet and then you pull everything out of the closet and then you go, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. That's what my library looks like right now. We are in the process of changing our nonfiction section into nonfiction genres. And to do that, we had to pull everything out of the closet. So it's a bit of a mess now, but I'm excited for the way to help students just enjoy nonfiction more. So we're keeping the Dewey numbers within each genre, just adding a library staff kind of sticker to the back of the book so we know where it belongs. But just beautiful signs and a lesson that I'll do with all the classes just to let them find what they like.
Cool. I can share that next week, the Laconia organization will be hosting their annual trustee banquet on May 30th. We did our final walkthrough yesterday of the event, so we're as prepared as we possibly can be as an organization. But for those of you who are in attendance or going to bring your trustees, please know that our authors will be available for book signing, and they plan to do that before the event as well. So if you want to rub elbows with Rebecca Mackay, please come and do so.
are interviewing them, Monica, is that right?
I am, yes, yeah.
That's gonna be the highlight.
My first author interview in quite some time. So it'll be fun.
All right, I can get the hint. Next is our meeting recap. So our next board meeting is Friday, June 20th, 2025. Please note that this is the third, not the fourth Friday of the month due to the ALA conference. The agenda will include a broadband update with Ann Slaughter, a very excited and happy Ann Slaughter. She's watching. And Tom Stagg will be joining us to talk about engaging potential trustees. One second. I love this part. Just read this part. then? All right, good. The board will move into closed session to discuss matters pertaining to closed session meetings as per 5 Illinois compiled statutes, chapter 120, paragraph 2, section 2C21, which states, be a good one. Exceptions, a public body may hold the closed meetings to consider the following subjects. 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body. 2, collective negotiation matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salaries, schedules for one or more classes of employees. 11, litigation when an action against affecting or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending. 21, the minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether they're for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06. May I have a motion and a second to move into closed session?
Moved, what you said.
Thank you.
Second, Emily Porter.
Thank you. Emily, would you please call roll?
Sure. Gwen Gregory,
Here.
Jen Hovanek,
Yes.
Amanda Kowalski,
Yes.
Julie Millivek,
Yes.
Emily Porter,
Yes.
Carolyn Sennett,
Yes.
Alex Vancina,
Yes.
Karen Voitic,
Yes.
Catherine Yanikowski,
Yes.
Monica Caldecott,
Yes.
Jennifer Cutshall, and Renee Leva.
Yes. We are now back in open session with the recording and the live streaming on. Agenda item 14.1 is the action on the 6-month review of the 4 Rails Board closed sessions, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second regarding the status of the closed session minutes of January 26, 2024 and March 22nd, 2024 will remain closed. And the dates, November 22nd, 2024 and June 21st, 2024 will be open.
So moved, Amanda.
Second, Catherine.
Emily, will you please call roll?
Yes, Amanda Kowalski,
Yes.
Julie Millivek, Emily Porter,
Yes.
Carolyn Sennett,
Yes.
Alex Vancina,
Yes.
Karen Voitic,
No.
Catherine
But
Yanikowski,
yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
was that Catherine? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Jennifer
Yes, it's me.
Cutshall,
I think yes, my vote. Yes.
Gwen Gregory,
Yes.
Jennifer Hovanek,
Yes.
Renee Leva.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your attendance. Enjoy your weekend. I adjourn this meeting at, hey, 12 o'clock.
Hey.
Everyone have a really nice weekend.
Happy Memorial Day.